I'm Dr. M. Lakshmi Devi, Associate Professor in the Department of CSCDS at Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. Today's topic is executing a C program. So today we will discuss, in this video, we will learn about the different steps involved in execution of a C program. A C program, in order to execute, so there are various phases such as creating a program, then execution of preprocessor program, compilation, then linking, loading, and then executing the program. So we'll discuss about each of these phases in detail. First is creation of the program. So the next step in the execution of the C program is compilation step. After that, linking, and then the next step is executing the program. So first one, we'll discuss about what is creation of a program. So program should be written in. So first, creation of a program involves writing the C program in C editor, or we require an IDE. So IDE is nothing but Integrated Development Environment. Then after that, after writing the C program, so we have to save that file with .c extension. So file is saved with .c extension. So this file with .c extension is known as source code file. So where we have written our source program. Next step is compilation. So this is nothing but compiling. So this involves compiling and linking. Compilation step involves compiling and linking. So let us see what is compilation first. So compilation process in C is nothing but to convert the source code to machine understandable code. So that is under human written code to machine understandable code, and also the compiler will check for the syntax and semantics of the code to determine so if there are any syntax errors in the program. It will also show the warnings if there are any warnings in the C program. So this is overall view of compilation process. You can see here the source code program with .c extension is converted to machine code. So as you know that the computer cannot understand our language, so therefore we require a compiler to convert the source code to machine code. So machine code is nothing but the language of computer, that is binary language. It is in the form of zeros and ones. So in compilation also there are various steps involved. We'll discuss in detail. Compilation process in C involves 4 steps. So when we compile the program, so automatically pre-processing takes place. So and then after that we have compiling, then assembling, and then the last step is linking the. First we'll discuss what is pre-processing. So out of the 4 processes involved, first step is pre-processing stage. So pre-processing is done by preprocessor. So what is preprocessor? Preprocessor is a program, so that processes the source program or source code before it is passed to the compiler. So before compilation itself, pre-processing is done. So preprocessor directives are initialized at the beginning of the program before the main. So all the statements which are starting with hash symbol, they are processed by preprocessor. So this converts the source code program file into an intermediate file with no hash statements. So for example, before the main function, we include the header files, and also in our previous lecture we have discussed about what is the structure of a C program. So in that the first line is the inclusion of header files, and after that, so if there are any constants to be defined, so that is also defined here. So these are all the lines which are starting with hash symbol, they are processed by preprocessor. So what the preprocessor does here is, so it will remove this line, and in the functions, so stdio.h, we are using printf and scanf function. So mostly in almost all the programs we use these two functions for input, and this is for input and this is for output. So in order to use these functions, the program has to know the function declaration as well as, so these functions are declared and defined in stdio.h. So this stands for standard input output. .h is header file. So therefore the preprocessor, what it does is it will create and it will remove this line and it will create an intermediate file with no hash include, with no hash statements. So that means it will replace this function declarations, which are function declarations and definitions which are given in stdio.h. So let us see in detail. So what are the different steps involved in pre-processing? First of all, so these are the three steps you can say. First is removal of comments, next is macro expansion, and the last one is file inclusion. So let us see one by one in detail. So in the pre-processing stage, the first is removal of comments. So what is removal of comments? So in the basic, there are in C we have single line and multi-line comments. Multi-line comments. What are single line comments? Single line comments, they start with this symbol, and multi-line comments, so they start with this symbol and end with this symbol. So comments we use in C program to increase the readability of the program. Anyone who is using the program can actually understand what the program is written for. So it enhances and it gives more clarity to the programmer, and also it gives the purpose of it so it gives clarity to the programmer about the details of the program. So that's why we write comments. So comments are non-executable part of code. So that's why in the pre-processing stage, the comments are removed from the program. So in the pre-processing stage. Next is macros expansion. So macro expansion, the syntax for macros is hash define, and then here you have the identifier. Then after that, the substitute. So macros are constant values or expressions which are defined using hash defined directives in C language. So syntax is hash defined syntax of hash defined directive is as follows: hash define, then space, after that identifier, space, and then followed by substitute. So example for this is hash define pi and 3.14. So in the pre-processing stage, what happens is the preprocessor replaces this variable with the value 3.14. So here pi is a macro template and 3.14 is macro substitute. So during pre-processing, preprocessor replaces every occurrence of this pi, that is identifier, with 3.14, that is the substitute value. So another task which is performed in pre-processing stage is file inclusion. So we have seen that we include the header files, hash include std io.h. So in this header file, there are function declarations for printf and scanf. So these declarations and definitions are there in stdio.h. So this line is removed, and in place of that, so the preprocessor will include the function declaration and definition of these two functions. So file inclusion is nothing but addition of another file containing some pre-written code into a C program during the pre-processing. So it is done using hash include directive. File inclusion during pre-processing replaces the entire contents of file name to be added to the source code. So it replaces the hash include file name directive and it creates a new intermediate file. So after pre-processing, the source code with .c extension is converted to .i extension. Suppose we have created a file with first .c. Then after pre-processing, it is the file extension will be, file name will be same, but the extension will be .i. So after pre-processing, .c file is converted to .i extension. Then in the compilation, we have compiling step. So compiling is done using an inbuilt software. So using an inbuilt software, compiler software, so which converts the intermediate .i file into an assembly file. So assembly file is nothing but which has assembly level instructions, which is a low level code, which is a code written in low level. The whole program, so compiler what it does is it converts the whole program code into, so compiler what it does is the whole program code is analyzed by the compiler software at a time, and if there are any syntax or warnings present in the source code, they are shown. The next step is assembling. So what is assembling is done by assembler. So assembling is done by assembler. What is assembler? Assembler is also a program so which translates assembly code into machine code. So what it does is assembler, it takes instructions from the assembly code file which has been generated in the compiling phase, and then converts it into binary code that which is specific to the machine type known as object code. So this file generated has the same name as the assembly file, and it is known as object file with an extension of .obj. So after this phase, the file which is generated is first.obj. So object code, what is object code here? It is machine code only. It has machine code, but it is not directly executable. We cannot execute the object code. Then comes the next step is linking. So linking is done by linker. So linker is also a program which combines the object files, which are generated by compiler, assembler, and other pieces of code to originate an executable file with .exe extension. So linking, the process of linking is nothing but it includes the library files into our program. So library files these are predefined files, so which contain definition of the functions in machine language. So in C, there are number of library files are there. So definitions of these functions. So in C, there are number of library functions. So library files are some predefined files that contain the definition of the functions in machine language. So linking, what it does is it links the library files to our program. Next is executing the program. So after compilation of executable object code, the executable object code will be loaded into the computer's main memory and the program is executed. So this task is performed by loader. Now, executing the program. Now let us see how the program executes. So after creation of object code, so object code is not executable. So when to execute the program, so we use the operating system command such as run. So when we press this run command, so it loads the program into the primary memory and executes it. So getting the program into the memory is a function of operating system program known as loader. So before loading the program into the main memory, it is stored somewhere in the secondary, in the hard disk or in the hard disk. So before loading the program into the main memory, the program is stored in the hard disk. So with the help of loader, so loader what it does is it takes the input of executable files from the linker, loads it into the main memory and prepares this code for execution by the computer. So it locates the executable program and reads it into the memory. So after this, the CPU takes charge and the program takes control. CPU will operate and it begins the execution. So the whole process we can understand with the help of this flowchart. So this is the first step. So first step for executing a C program is first we need to write the program. So that is called as source code here. So this is the source code. Suppose the name of the program is first.c. So we save the file with .c extension. So then comes the pre-processing stage. So when we compile the program, pre-processing is done automatically. So pre-processing, what it does is it removes all the lines which are started with this symbol. So preprocessor removes all the lines which are started with this symbol, and also if there are macros in the program, like, so macro we define it as hash defined by 3.14. So this is a macro. So as we have seen that, so this variable, wherever it is there, wherever it is used in the program, so that is replaced by this value. So this line will be removed, and wherever this variable is used here, is used in the program, it will be replaced by this value. Next, we also use hash include stdio.h. So here also preprocessor, what it does is it removes this line, and it replaces this line with the function declarations, of printf and scanf, which are used in the program. So there may be other functions also, but mostly these are the functions we use in our program. Next, after this step, the source code is converted to expanded source code. The source code is converted to expanded source code with the help of preprocessor, and the output of this is first.i. This file extension is first.i after preprocessing. Next, when we compile the program, so we have to compile the source program. So compiler will check for syntax errors. If there are any errors in the program, then again this process will be repeated. So edit the source code, and then pre-processing stage, and then compiling. If there are no errors, in the program, then the next step is linking process. So output of this is .obj file. The output of this is .obj. Then in the linking process, it will link the system libraries with the .obj file. So linking process or linker will link the system library with .obj file generated from the generated here. So output of this linking process will be .exe file. So this is .obj file is not executable. It is not executable file, whereas after the linking process we get executable object code. So in the executable object code, then when we run the program, so if there are any logic and data errors, then then again we have to edit the source code, and again the same process will be repeated. If there are no errors in the program, then we'll get the output. So in this way, so these are the various steps involved in execution of a program. So first .c we get here. After pre-processing, we get first.i. Then after this, in the compiling, we get first.s file. This is an assembly file. This is assembly code file. This is an intermediate file. So assembly code file is generated here. So if there are no errors here, then .obj file will be generated. So here the file which is generated is .obj. Then after that linking process, the output of this is first.exe file. So these are the various steps involved in execution of a C program. So we'll understand these different steps with the help of a simple program. So this is a simple program. So where we need to print the message, welcome to IAR. So this is a simple program where we need to print the message, welcome to IARE. So we know that we have included, so this is a header file, and then we know that at least there should be one main function. There should be only one main function in the program, and it starts with curly braces. This is starting of the program execution, and this indicates ending of the program execution. So inside the function, we have written only one statement in the executable part. So printf welcome to IARE. So, and then the last line of this program is return 0. So we know that all the lines, so all the statements, they must end with semicolon. Now let us see how do we get the output for this program. So after writing the code, so we have to first save the file with .c extension. So let us say that the name of the file is first.c. Then after this step, compilation, we have to compile the program. So when the program is compiled, pre-processing is done automatically. Pre-processing of the C program begins. So during pre-processing phase, so what happens is we have included comments in the program. So these are the comments. So all these comments are non-executable part of the program. So they will be removed from the program. So after this, we don't have any macros here. So macro directives are not here. So in this program, so no macro expansion will take place. So next we have included stdio.h header file. So during this pre-processing, declaration of standard input-output functions like printf, scanf, so these are added in the C program. Next, during the compilation phase, the statements are converted to assembly level instructions using the compiler software. So here, after this, the file is converted to .s file with the same name as we have saved here. We have given here first.s file. So first.s file is converted to object code using the assembler. So the next step is assembling. So in the assembling stage, the first.s file is converted to object code and it will generate an object file. So with the same name as we have given first.obj. Then during the linking phase, so linker will add the required definitions into the object file which has been generated. So linker will add required definitions in the object file using the library files and it will generate an executable file with the name first.exe. So when we run the program, so output of the program will be, so we'll get the output of the program is IARE. So running the program is nothing but loading and executing the program. So loading is done by loader. So function of loader is to load the .exe file stored in the hard disk to the primary memory. So in this way, when we run the program, the output of the program on the screen is welcome to IARE. So thus, in this video lecture, we have discussed about the various phases of execution of a program. So various phases involve first creation of the program. Then we have the first step is creation of program. After that, the next step is compilation. So in the compilation phase, we have pre-processing, assembly, and then the last step is linking. So in the compilation phase, so we have these three steps: pre-processing, assembling, and linking. So in the pre-processing step, so this pre-processing step will create an intermediate file. It will replace all the lines which are started with hash define, which are starting with hash define symbol, and then after that compiler will check for. So in between we have compiling also. So in the compiling phase, so compiler will check for syntax errors. So if there are no syntax errors, then this program, if there are no syntax errors, then the expanded source code which has been obtained from preprocessor, that is converted to assembly code, and then after that it is fed to assembler. So assembler, what it does is it converts the assembly code to object code. So object code which is not executable. So after that the next step is linking. So linking is done by linker. So linker what it does is it links the library files with the object code file, and then after that, in the last step, we have executing the program. So executing the program is done by loader. So what it does is it loads the program into the main memory, and finally we get the output. So this is all about today's video. So we will discuss some more concepts of C programming in the next video lecture. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.